Shalom, good evening.
Shalom.
With God's help, we add a little bit explanation with the seven beggars. One of the things I want to explain a little bit more is the connection of Atik Yomin to the more youngest in one way, and from the other way to the oldest. And this can be just two opposite things. It is a regular point of view of what you call Or Yashar, the way most of the people think. The way people think is that
Straight light.
Straight way of thinking, that if you have more you go up, more it's older the generation. Very simple. And it's a pshat, the way you call Ari Hanpin, have a long beard, it's the grandfather. If the Vavke of the name of God is Chatan v'Kala, and above this is the father and mother, and above this is Ari Hanpin and his Nukva, so it's grandfather.
Ari Hanpin
and his Nukva is female, and Atik Yomin and his female. Each one of them have his female. What it's not really, it's like in Ari Hanpin it's like the right and the left of the same face. In Atik Yomin it's the front and the back. Okay, the male and the female. But you understand that Atik Yomin it's the Saba Rabba is very old, right?
Ancient.
But yes, this is a pshat of the Atik, it's ancient. But from another side, in the moment we reveal the concept of the symmetry, is the youngest.
Right.
Because like David is the son of Yishai, the root of David is the son of Yishai as well. The root of David is Ari Hanpin. And Atik Yomin, it will be the son of the root of David, etc. Right? So with this symmetry, we give a new life to all the parts of him, right? And we reveal that the youngest is the oldest, right? This is one of the idea of the symmetry.
Right.
If each one of us can do the same thing with his age, more is old, more is young, this might give us a longest life. Right?
Yeah.
Let's say we get to the age of 60, then we can't. We go back. So at the age of 120, you are completely
Zero again.
zero. So this is the idea of now in Sipurei Masiyot, in the book of the story, in the end he put a few places that we can learn from it about concepts that he talked about. And one of the places he mentioned, I forget. I didn't see it in the time. I forget to pass on it. He mentioned Mare Mekomot, the second part of Likutei Moharan, chapter 24. Likutei Moharan Tanina, So in this Torah of Rabbi Nachman, he mentions the concept of the 10 pulse and the 10 kind of song.
Right.
Okay. And he says that the 10 pulse give life to the 10 songs.
Mm.
The 10 pulse, it means the 10 kind of wisdom.
Mm.
The 10 pulse have to do with, we say that there are 4 10. 4, like Yudke Vavke. There are 4, how you say,
Arrows?
Arrows that have to do with 10 kind of mishpat,
Judgment.
of judgment, and there are 10 kind of charity, and there are 10 kind of wisdom that have to do with pulse of life. This refers to Eliyahu. It means the woman that she's between the sun and the moon. Right? So if we parallel this to Yudke Vavke, so it's the word of Yetzirah, that the angel of Yetzirah called Chayot. תזרתים והחיות רצו ושוב. They go up and down, up and down. So this has to do with the pulse of life. The heart. Okay, so it's, we can understand the connection. The moon represents the animal, the Yetzer Hara, and above this is the sun, represents the ultimate Yetzer Hara Tov, the good inclination, the bad, and it's between them, and the life it's between up and down, up and down. You want to get close to God, but when you really get close to God, you understand that really God wants you here. So then you come back here. And when you are here, you say, well, I fell down, I want God, etc. There's an angel called Chayot. Chayot, it means life.
Life force.
Life force, Chayut. All right. If we talk about the Partsufim of the Chabad, so it's Israel Saba. Israel Saba and Tvuna. So Israel Saba, it's like the wisdom compared to the Binah, but it's a lower Partsuf of the wisdom.
Right.
Right? It's the low Partsuf of the wisdom. It's Abba V'Ima Ilain, the high couple of wisdom, and it's the low couple of wisdom. Right. Wisdom and understanding. Wisdom and understanding. So this has to do with wisdom too. Wisdom is always have to do with life. And what he writes here, he talk about that is a big mitzvah, how you say mitzvah, good deed, to be always happy and to take away the sadness with all your force. And all the sickness came to the person because damage of the happiness, all the sickness. All right, so when we want to make somebody heal, right? So
we have
to make him happy.
Right.
How you make him happy? You make him happy with music, but who give life to the music? It's because music have different pulse.
Right.
So he says that the 10 pulse, the 10
types of pulse,
give life to the music, like like always the rabbi give life to his disciple, you know, the way to go naturally. He fix him, he heal him, he fix him. It is a story, another story of Rabbi Nachman from the book Chayei Moharan, the life of Rabbi Nachman. Chapter 281, Rafeh, to heal. He said, this was the year of Tafkuf Samechtet, it means 569, 212 years ago. In Motzei Shabbat, he answered and he said, אם היה בה אצלנו נשמה גדולה, if would come to us a great soul, אף על פי כן היינו נראים כחשובים, אף על פי כן, it means, you want to say probably, this would cause, this would bring, this would make us to be look as importance. It means there are many critics about Rabbi Nachman in his time. He says missing one soul. If we have between all your guys a big soul, neshama gdola. How much you call neshama gdola?
Then what? If we have a big soul.
Well, I will continue. Tell the story. הכהן המשיח. It's the only Mashiach in the Torah. In the 5 books of Torah is not Mashiach ben David, is not Mashiach ben Yosef. Is the Kohen HaMashiach, the priest Mashiach. So, if, and then he said, ובאמת אינם חולקים עליי וכולי וכולי, and really they are not really against me, you know, etc., etc. And he's sitting in his house. And it already happened once that there was people talking, חולקים, it means against somebody. And he built a very tall tower. And he sits there in this tower. And there was fighting against him, Alav. And there was שולחים ורובים לו חיצים ואש, and there was shooting with guns and arrows. But they could not do him nothing. But there are good stone that they grew from the air and the edim. How you say edim?
The vapors.
And vapor. We talk about a spiritual dimension, right? We talk good stone, it means souls, different souls.
Right.
And it was a stone, a good stone, that was growing in the air, but he was not yet, he didn't have yet all the perfection. And when this were caused that this stone, this soul fell down to this world before they are ready, before it's their time, before the time, because they want maybe to protect the rabbi. Right? The war caused all kind of damage in reality. Right? So they fall to this world before they are ready. ועל ידי שהיו רובים מחיצים אליו כנ"ל, or by this that they were shooting to him, like we said, על ידי זה caused the falling of this good stone, and he fell on the tower. And this good stone, it was of chen. It was a stone of chen. And immediately when he fell on top of, in the towel, immediately they say everybody to him, they all fell down in front of him and say, Yechia Melech, vive le roi, how you saying?
Live the king.
Live the king, live the king. Right, so. But הנשמות קטנות כמותכם, but you, he talked to his disciple, a small soul like you, that fell down because they were, and בבחינת you are like, תשתפכנה אבני קודש, ונקרא שפיכה.
Let the holy stones pour out.
בשפיכה I have a association of the seeds that go out before the time. ונקרא שפיכה, מחמת שעדיין אין להם כל השלמות, because they don't have yet all the perfection, ונופלים קודם שנשלמים, and they fell down before they got perfect.
They fall down.
They fall before they are... But this big soul, we mentioned before, this good stone, the concept of chen, he have in perfection. But the other perfection he didn't have yet. But על ידי החכם, with the wise man, נשלם. He will get to his perfection. It means the rabbi will fix the disciple. Chen he have in perfection. But other quality he don't have, is not a fixed soul. You don't have yet the, but the Chacham fixing. Okay? So even all the concept, all these four concepts we talk about, they have all to do with one personality. What is the woman, right? The sixth beggar, the ones that don't have end. So we parallel the four quality he have with his 10 finger to four concept, to four personality, but really it's like the four personality in himself, really, what we talk about.
Right.
His capability. But we can see here that the parallel we did is correct, because the pulse of life, the pulse give life, give correction to the music, give life to the music. It means to the 4-1. The third one give perfection to the 4-1. Okay? Everything is relative. Okay, so Another thing I would like to talk, we mentioned the last time that the concept of tzedakah and mishpat and tzedakah, judgment and charity, it's is mentioned many times, these two concepts together in the Bible.
Right.
I will aid myself with the book. Because it's too much for me to remember.
Good thing you wrote the book.
Okay, this can be like a lesson just about this concept of mishpat and tzedakah, right? It's like it can be part of the two concepts of charity. It can be a different lesson too. It's like a new subject. You know that.
What was the context of what's the mishpat?
Ma?
What was the context of judgment and charity in the story again?
The two first capability of the six beggar, that there are 10 kind of heroes of judgment and 10 kind of charity.
Right.
And we say that who have to fix the judgment is Solomon, and who have to fix the charity
is David.
or the rabbi. David is between them. Okay? It is a verse, you know, the most important verse in Tehillim of Mashiach is the most important chapter is chapter 72. Right? The chapter that he talk about the sun and the moon, the first coming and the second coming, before the sun, with the sun, before the moon, with no moon. Right? We talk about this maybe one of the most important chapter of Mashiach in all the Bible. It's one of the most important chapter. So the first verse in this chapter 72 is Lishlomo. It's like something wrote Shlomo the king. Shlomo wrote it.
Yeah.
Right?
To Shlomo.
To Shlomo. It means there was the announce, the writer of the song. Elokim, God, Mishpatecha, your judgment, lemelech, 10, give to the king, give it. It means from Shlomo to David. Shlomo have to give it to David, right? The concept of the right judgment. Shlomo is a good judgment.
Oh.
Okay? Or from Shlomo to Yishai. David and Yishai is the same basic personality, so the same thing. וצדקתך and your charity, Leven Melech, to the son of the king. Right, so he's a king and he's the son of the king.
Right.
It's been from David to Shlomo. Or from Yishai to Shlomo. Shlomo is the son of Yishai too, because Shlomo is David too, like we explained. Right. Right, we explained that when we talk about Yoshiyahu, Yoyakim, and Yoyachin, the three generations, they are a brother of Yoyakim, by the name Yehoachaz that represent Shlomo as David, son of Yishai. And it is another brother of Yoakim, that is Tzidkiyahu, that came after Yoachim. Because it's a sixth candle that came eight.
Right.
That represent Yoakim. The same one, it's his brother. The connection, both of them, Yoakim and Tzidkiyahu, was king 11 years. And Yoachaz and Yoachim, both of them was king 3 months. Right, so you see the connection between these two and these two.
Right.
Right, so let's write this verse. Shlomo. משפטיך למלך, כן? וצדקתך לבן מלך. Okay, so we have here judgment and charity, and we see the relation, we see who needs to fix his judgment, and who need to fix his charity. So we ask God, give him judgment, and give to the other one the charity. Give to the son of the king the charity,
right,
and give to the king the judgment. Each one of them give to the other one what he needs. The king have to receive judgment. The son of the king, which means Shlomo, have to receive the charity.
right.
This verse equal 2,312. What is 2 times 1,156? It's 1,000 with Yosef. 1,156 is 34 square. Now, what is interesting here, this word. This word. And this word equal half 1,156, and this word, these two words, and these two words equal 1,156. It's an interesting. This verse have 5-letter name, 7 letter Lamed, and 4 letter Chaf. I talk about the letter of Melech.
Melech.
This is from Rabbi Ginzburg. Only he will do this kind of analysis. If you do square, 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 equal Melech. Anti. This is Melech. Did you?
Oh.
The Mem appears 5 times in this verse, the Lamed appears 7 times, the Chaf appears 4 times. You make a square of each one of this number, you receive King 90.
Nice.
No, before Rav Ginsburg, nobody did this kind of stuff, like on this level, right? I don't think so.
You do a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah. Amazing.
Completely.
I haven't
Yeah, it's
seen anyone else do that. Yeah.
Now, if I do only the gematria of Mishpatecha, I start from here. Your judgment to the king give, and your charity to the son of the king. In order number, with a big mantzapach, you receive Shlomo. משפטיך למלך תן, עמד שקוע משפטיך למלך תן, your judgment to the king give your judgment to the king.
$1,029.
What, 1,000? Yes. You're right. What is 7 times 7 times 7 times 3? Can you try this? You have a calculator?
7 times 7 is 49. 49 times 7 is 343, I think. 340,
7 cubed?
343 times 3 is 900.
Yeah, 343.
Yes.
900.
Wait, and 7 times 7 times 7 times 3. Yeah, 1,029.
Yep.
And this is right? This
Yeah.
is right too?
Yeah.
So what will be the root of this number? 5 times 5 times 5 times 3, right? 7 is a fifth prime number, so we have 3 times 7, it becomes 3 times 5. 3 is a free prime number, so it's the 3. So what we receive? 375. What is Shlomo?
Nice.
Is the ones that give to the king the right judgment.
Right. Nice.
Just 1 second. It is another verse in song, צדקתך כהררי אל
משפטיך תהום רבה.
משפטיך תהום רבה. This is
Your
chapter 36, verse 7. I think.
Your justice or charity is like the mountains of God. Your judgments are like the great abyss.
We have here acronym of Tamar. Tamar, the date.
The date.
The date, this refers to the Rabbi, to the sun. Tamar equals Shemesh, 640. So, צדקתך כהראל, by the way, equal ציפור מדברת חן. The bird who talk חן, 1080. What is 153, right? Represents the charity of the 153 fish, big fish. Mountain of God. God, it's the name of Chesed, it means it's the generator of Abraham. Mountain refer to money, to Truma, להרים. To give a charity, we say leharim, to put up a donation. Harim, mountain. The way you say mountain, it means to give charity.
Wow.
It's why harim equal me'aribo, that is
lift up.
Lift up, it's what me'aribo is the way you say a million. Like river, the same thing. Harim, mountain. ונשאו הרים שלום לעם וגבעות בצדקה. The mountain will carry peace to the people, and the small mountain גבעות with charity. Right, so it's a big charity. What is peace? It's $1 million, and it's a גבעות with charity. גבעות, it's like the mule.
Where do you see Meriba?
הרים equal, ונתתי כנהר שלום. 255, what is נהר? ריבו. ריבו, it can be written with Aleph and with not Aleph. If you write ריבו with no Aleph, equal חמור, 254. This is 255. Right.
With no aleph, it equals 208.
No, Meribo.
Oh, Meribo, okay.
Yes, Ribo is Yitzchak.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like
Yitzchak.
100 Yitzchak. It's
right.
so 100 gates.
100 gates,
right. Sharim equal gates, Sharim is so equal just the filling letter of Yitzchak. It means Yitzchak achieve his potential of himself. So,
right.
So about this verse, it is a bird that called Shalach, that in a modern Hebrew is called Shalach. In the language of the Chachamim, of our sages, it's called Orev HaMayim.
The water crow.
That he jumped, he put himself very deep to the soil and take fish.
He dives into the sea.
So our sages that your judgment get even there.
Uh-huh.
This free word, משפטיך תהום רבה, equal aton, with a big nun. It's mean 1107. Aton, the female donkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so really there are many interesting verses that have the concept of charity, judgment and charity. It's another verse maybe we should mention too. It is written, כי הפכתם לראש משפט ופרי צדקה ללענה. In the book of Amos 12, it says that you turn the judgment to Rosh. Rosh, it's like a Rosh and Lana. It's a plant,
bitter plant,
bitter plant, bad plant that mentioned many times in the Bible as a symbol to bad action,
yeah,
things that cause sorrow to other people. You know. All right, so he say you turn out the judgment to head. Rosh, it means head too.
right.
So this refers to the donkey because Chamor Kofetz Barosh is the first one, right? The riding on the white horse. Always the donkey jump first, right? Our sages said the donkey in his beginning is cute, in his end is ugly, and the horse in his beginning is ugly, in the end, it means in his back, is yafeh. About the donkey is chamud, is cute. Chamud equal chen. All right, so the beginning of the donkey is cute, chamud, what is chen. And the back of the horse,
Right.
is tuches, is yafeh, is beautiful. It means this have to do with truth, this have to do with lie. Chen and yofi.
Right.
Always you take the best of each one of them. Right? When you do the Maaseh Merkava, the chariot of what we call the white donkey of Mashiach, or the black horse of Mashiach, the same thing. The donkey is black, the horse is white. In this world if the donkey is dominant, you call it the white donkey. You receive the white from the horse. It means we like better the color white of the color black. We like better the end of the donkey, and we like better the legs of the horse.
Right.
We like better the head of the donkey, and we like better the back of the horse. So we make kind of animals that have a head of a donkey, a back of a horse, a front legs, it means hand of donkey, legs of a horse. You have a blood of horse, you have a flesh of donkey, blood of horse, בשר חמורים בשרם וזרמת סוסים זרמתם, etc. Right? So we take the best of each one of them, and the head, it means the beginning, the starting of the redemption have to do with the head of the donkey, because he's cute in his beginning. He's cute. Cute equal chen. All right, so the judgment, you make from the judgment something bad that is like head of a donkey. But we give a good interpretation for the head of the donkey. All right. Okay, and why charity is la'ana? וצדקה ללענה. because I was calling the rabbi, I talk about many years ago, 30 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I wrote all my book again as letter to the rabbi. This was my second editing of my book. The first editing was the Bird Who Talk Chen. After I wrote all the book again as letter to the rabbi, this was 10 letters to the rabbi. The 10th letter, that it was the conclusion of everything, I have it in this book, I put it in this book. So I used to write letter to the rabbi, I never received any answer. And I was really
Upset.
I wait and I wait and I write and I wait. Never received any answer. Because the secretary of the rabbi
Secretary.
was not giving my letter to the rabbi. Right? I asked היוקל, בן אדם שהוא, how you said, מתקשר.
Channeler, a medium.
He was here in Israel, a very big Russian medium, maybe the biggest one that was in Israel. And I asked him, why the rabbi don't answer me? He told me, he's a secretary, don't give him the letter. That's what he told me.
He didn't mention who it was, which rabbi had a lot of
The
secretaries.
main secretary was Groner.
So why would
Groner.
have you tried? Why didn't you try to talk to him, secretary?
I traveled to United States to give my letter, the 10 letter, to the rabbi when he was already sick. And I got by myself to Rabbi Groner, the main secretary of the rabbi. I said, please give this. I came all the way from Israel to give this to the rabbi, 7 page. In this. He said, I'm not going to give it to the rabbi.
Wow.
The rabbi is sick. We don't have, it's not a position to learn your Torah, to read your Torah.
Really?
He's not learning Torah, he's not in a situation of learning Torah. You know, when somebody writes a letter, I will take 2 words from there and I will ask the rabbi, and the rabbi will answer with yes or no. It's all. That's what he told me.
Wow.
Right? So, it's a long story.
Wow.
So I used to write to the rabbi, Aneni Shiv'a. Who is Anani? Anani
It's one of the.
is the 15th generation after Yoakim. You know, there are 30 generations from Avraham to Yoshiyahu. After this starts the exile. And then the Bible tells us about other 15 generations. Together is Adam generation of Jewish people. Before this, before Avraham is 19 generation of Goy. Goy, not Jewish people. Goy equal 19, and equal Eve too. So it's Adam and Eve. Or Adam and Goy. Alright? This all the Bible is built, have 64 generation. 19 of not Jewish and 45 Adam of Jewish. Okay, so the last generation, the last 2 generations is Elioenai, that refer to Eliyahu Hanavi, and Anani that refer to Mashiach that came on with
And the
Ananias
cloud.
Maya, with the cloud of the
heavens.
no, because he's the seventh. Anani is the seventh child of Elionai. He's the seventh one. So it is writing Anani Shiv'a. Okay, so this can refer to the seven beggar, but if we talk about somebody that came with the cloud, it's you know, always the Gematriot are between these two. The horse and the donkey are the same, are one. You know, like Menachem and Tzemach, plant and Menachem is the same Gematria. But it's two opposite. This came from down, this came from up. So I was asking, and Rabbi lo ana, didn't answer. So I used to write to the Rabbi that you make the charity. It means I was waiting the $2 million from the Rabbi. You make from charity la ana. It means lo ana. You didn't answer. And I was asking, please, the Rabbi is the seventh one in Chabad, the seventh Rabbi of Chabad. It's why it's referred to the Tamar, to the debt. We saw, Mishpatecha Tom Rabbah, your judgment, it's how you translate Tom Rabbah?
The judgments are the great abyss.
Tom Rabbah, it's expressions that appear in the New Testament, in the book of Revelation too. Okay, so it is another verse, שורש פורה ראש ולענה. זה הקונים of שופר. והתברך בלבבו לאמור שלום יהיה לי, כי בשירות ליבי אליך, etc. I will have $1 million. God asks the people, I hope is not between you a root of this bed, two plants. Somebody that thinks that he will do whatever he want to do, and he will say to himself, I will get $1 million, even I am evil. Okay, we can always transfer the bad verse to give them a good interpretation.
What is the Tehom Rabbah?
Tehom Rabbah, it's something that refers to the crown. It means the abyss is under the.
Sounds like
not Tehom Rabbah.
Like the lowest.
It is water that came from under. From below, from under. It is water that came from above.
Right.
It's like Torah that came from below, like science, and it is Torah that came from above, like science, like Gematriot. Okay, so we have the last week, I think we read Yeshayahu Mem, Yeshayahu 40 in the Haftarah of the week, Nachamu Nachamu Ami.
Yeah.
Right? Yomar Elokechem. Nachamu Nachamu Ami Yomar have the acronym of Anani. So Anani is the last generation in the Bible. Yeshua is the last generation in the book of Matthew. Anani plus Yeshua refers to the Chaya. Anani refers to the Rabbi, to the Chaya. Together equal Mashiach ben Yosef. Both of them together, Anani. So I asked the Rabbi Anani, but the name Anani refer more to Jesus than to the Rabbi. Shiva refers to the Rabbi. You can say that concept of 7. Have to do with David,
Right.
with Mashiach, son of David.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another verse interesting, one of the most important verse of Mashiach, למרבה המשרה ושלום אין קץ, I didn't write all the verse here. No, ישעיהו ט', ישעיהו 9,
Oh.
9,
Isaiah 40 is Nachamu.
chapter Vav, chapter 6.
Talking about the Mashiach.
Yeah. After the chapter, the verse 5 is very interesting. The כי ילד יולד לנו, a son
A
born
child is
to
born
us,
to us. A son is given unto us.
a child was born to us, a son was given to us, ותהי המשרה על שכמו. The job was on his shoulder. שכמו equal.
The government.
The government was on his shoulder. שכמו it's like donkey. It's like שכם בית חמור. His shoulder. שכמו equal calculation. חשבון. The book of God. Better than Ani. ויקרא שמו, and he called his name פלא יועץ. The one that give advice, that is
the wondrous advisor.
El Gibor, Aviad, Sar Shalom. He give 4 names of Mashiach. Pele Yoetz equal Rofe, a doctor. Kel Gibor equal beggar, Kaptzan. In the place of the son, if we talk about Yud Kevavke, he calls the Mashiach Aviad, the father of witness, of ever.
Yeah.
And then Sar Shalom, the
minister of peace.
Or the minister of Esav, the devil, minister of the Samech Mem, what is the minister of Esav equal Shalom. After he have a verse that start למרבה המשרה ושלום אין קץ, על כיסא דוד וממלכתו, להכין אותו ולסעדה במשפט ובצדקה. כן, alors, למרבה המשרה,
okay, that the government may be increased, and of peace there be no end, upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it through justice and through righteousness, or judgment and peace. Judgment and charity. From here and
what
forever.
Is interesting about the first word in this verse, that he writes in the middle of the word Mem Sofit.
Right. Mem Stuma.
Mem Stuma, למרבה.
The secret of the sealed mem of redemption.
ולשלום.
It has to split open.
אין קץ. על כיסא דוד ועל ממלכתו להכין אותה ולסעדה במשפט ובצדקה עד עולם. קנאת השם צבקות
מעתה
תעשה
ועד
זאת.
עולם.
מעתה ועד עולם. Alright, so are you translated?
Well, we did.
למרבה המשרה ולשלום אין קץ.
For the increasing of the government and of peace there be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to establish it and uphold it through judgment and charity, from here and forever.
אוקיי.
The zeal of Hashem, the Lord of hosts, will perform this.
It's interesting that the first word, if you count the mem like a big man tzapach, because it's a mem sofit,
Yeah.
if you count the mem like 600 instead of 40, you receive here
37.
837. What is something like this word? על כיסא דוד ועל ממלכתו.
Nice.
It's an interesting thing. Now, if you take the word shalom,
It says that in the redemption, that final mem will become an open
yeah,
mem.
alright, so there are all kind of explanations for this final mem, that it says that the Mashiach will shut down the open, how you say, side, what is the side of the north, of the left. Because in the bet of Bereshit, the north, the left side
Is open.
is open. It means from the north can come evil.
Yeah.
Right? From the left, it's open. It's not shut down. It's like there are things that don't depend in God.
So to speak.
The way look.
Yeah.
Like God cannot do nothing about some bad thing, that because he left the left side open. So Mashiach is
The
going
left
to
is
close.
left open.
The left is like the bad inclination, right? So we have a problem with the concept of the free choice. God give us a free choice, so it's not depend of him, because he give us a free choice. You understand? הכל בידי שמיים חוץ מיראת שמיים. The fear of God, fear have to do with the left. It's not in the hand of God. He give us a free choice. So Mashiach is going to shut down this problem. He's going to solve this problem. It means we will not have any more problem with the bad inclination. So it will be peace.
Right.
And peace, shalom, equal 476. If you take these two words, shalom and ketz, how you say and ketz?
No end. Endless.
If you write the milui of en ketz, Aleph, there's a filling letter. There's a filling letter of en ketz, right? En ketz. But there's a filling letter equal peace. It's written shalom and ketz. Now we have a very nice thing with what it is written here. What is our subject? משפט ובצדקה, להכין אותה, to prepare it, ולסעדה, you translate לסעדה,
To support
to
her.
support her, to prepare her and to support her with judgment and charity. להכין אותו לסעדה equal 696, what is 12 times חן. Perfection of חן. במשפט ובצדקה equal 11 times חן. This is 12 times חן. This is חן times 11. We have here 11 letters. במשפט ובצדקה. It means the average value of each letter is חן. This equal אברהם יצחק יעקב. 638. Now, if I take all the 5 words together, equal חן times חיה. It means 23 times חן, or חן times חיה. The חן of the beast. Everything we talk have to do with the beast.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. Now, if I do the gematria in order number, of just להכין אותו לסעדה במשפט ובצדקה. This in order number equal donkey, חמור, 254. Only these 3 words equal צמח, the plant. These 3 words in order number. And the other 2 words equal ינון. These 2 words in order number equal ינון. צמח plus ינון is 2 name of Mashiach. ינון refer to Jesus, equal חן חן. צמח is the 7 beggar. Both together equal donkey. But if you write ינון in filling letter, equal donkey too. Okay, so the filling letter of ינון equal plants. They are connected together, these 2 names. All have to do with the donkey. We say that in the Bible we have many times this, you call it in Hebrew, מכלול. 2 words that going together.
Phrase.
It is written 22 times משפט וצדקה. These 2 words this way. משפט וצדקה. משפט, judgment and charity. It is written 2 times במשפט ובצדקה. ציון במשפט יפדע ושבע בצדקה. It's not what it's not looking from this verse, but it's another verse interesting that we mentioned in the past. ציון במשפט, ציון will be redeemed. ציון equal Yosef. ציון is like the inner, the soul of Jerusalem. ציון will be redeemed with judgment, and the return, the repent.
The returners.
It means the repent, the ones that return.
Of Zion.
With charity. And we said that במשפט בצדקה equal Jesus. Right? 2 times Jesus. So it is written 2 times במשפט ובצדקה. It is written 1 time ומשפט וצדקה. It is written 3 times צדקה ומשפט. Only 3 times it is written the charity before the judgment. I think there are 3 people that give me Pidyon Haben before was the retrial of Jesus. All right, so people give me an amount of money that equal $2 million. And they said this is for the redemption of the firstborn. I don't think there was more of all right, so it's happened, I think, 3 times in my life that somebody give me and this is say, well, I want to do Pidyon Haben, I give you the, I give you the 2 million. Basically, we are going to do it only after the retrial. We are going to ask Am Israel to do the Pidyon Haben. This have to be accepted by all the rabbi. This have to be accepted by everybody. We cannot do it before it's legal to do it. Okay, so basically it's 22 times mishpat. Altogether there are 25 times that mishpat is before tzedakah, and there are 3 times that tzedakah is before mishpat. Now, mishpat u'tzedakah equal 634. Let's calculate all the mishpat and tzedakah in the Bible. The way they are written exactly. Not when they came not separately. Before we start with this, we mentioned 2 numbers. 25 times that is mishpat before tzedakah, and 3 times that is tzedakah before mishpat. Another thing from Rabbi Gilburg, the same technique we used before with the word king. 25 square plus 3 square equal 634, what is mishpat u'tzedakah, or tzedakah u'mishpat. It means judgment and charity, or charity and judgment. Now we go to all the possibility. So we have mishpat u'tzedakah, $634, and we have it 22 times. We have 2 times במishpat ובצדקה, like we saw in this verse, ולסעדה במשפט ובצדקה, that equal this equal 638, right? 11 times 10. But we have it 2 times. We have 1 time ומשפט וצדקה, that equal 640. What is the Tamar? The sun. And we have 3 times tzedakah umishpat. Like this, and in reverse. tzedakah umishpat. How much you call all together? What is this number?
17,
No, I'm sorry. 66. 47 times $2 million. Time. 47 is donkey in order number. Okay. Alright, so this was a little bit fun with the concept of charity, judgment and charity. Alright, so this was the final conclusion about the story of Rabbi Nachman Bebreslev. I think we finish with this. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Shalom.